Okay, so today I'm going to be adjusting the valves on this thing because last weekend when I went camping, as soon as I got the bike started up and I rode it out of there, I heard valve ticking sounds coming from here. And the last time that happened, it was because my valves were too loose, which I discovered after I adjusted them. So I figure I'm going to go through and recheck the clearances before I do my next trip. And this is relatively easy, so I decided just to turn a camera on and try to make a quick video about it. This isn't going to be overly produced. I'm not going to do a lot with that camera, but I do want to try to share how simple this is because when I first did it, I thought it was going to be a headache, and it took me no time at all, really. So anyway, let's get started. The seat comes off, the gas tank comes off. I'm not going to show you how to do that. These right here, these things are the valve adjustment covers. You take these off to get access to the rocker arms on top of the valves, and then we can from there we can adjust them. But first, you take off this little cap right here and this little cap here, and we have to turn the engine so that the cylinder is in top dead center before we try to adjust the valves. Let's pop these off right now. So what we do now is we have to rotate the engine until we see the T lining up with this little tick mark on top of the window. That indicates that the engine is at top dead center. Yeah. It's a 17 millimeter. Can't even really see that. You're probably not going to be able to see it, so I'll get a picture of it or something. But you put the 17 millimeter socket in, you rotate this thing counterclockwise. Until you see the T line up with the top of this case. There it is. Now, one of the things that got me first time I did this was that this little T, at least on my bike, I don't know if all 650Ls are like this, but that little T is actually rotated sideways and looks more like this. It's actually sideways, so when it comes past, look for a little sideways T. Don't look for an upright one, because if you do, you're going to miss it. And you're gonna get all pissed off as you're spinning your engine over and over and over and over and over. So now, I happen to have a wrench that's big enough to do this. We pop these things off. These should not be on real tight. They don't have to be torqued. I don't recommend looking up a torque spec for them. I thought they needed to be torqued to some kind of a spec, and ended up putting them on too tight and found it very difficult to remove them. If you followed me on Instagram long enough, you'll know about that. Because there are some photos of me trying to get it off. It was this front exhaust valve right here, the one I had trouble with. So now that the covers are off and the engine is turned top dead center, we have access to these rocker arms, and we need to adjust them. Or at least check their adjustment. Your intake valve should have a 3 to 5 thousandths clearance. Exhaust valve should have a 4 to 6 thousandths clearance. So I've got a 5 and a 4 here that I have bent specifically to fit under those rockers. So I'm going to say let's use the 4 for the intake valves, since it's 3 to 5. I'll use the number in the middle. So you need a 12 millimeter wrench and you use a flathead screwdriver. The first thing you're going to do here is get your wrench around the nut and loosen that lock nut just a little bit. We're going to take the 4/1000 feeler gauge, slip it right underneath there. That maybe feels a little bit loose. So the book says that you want to feel a light drag on this feeler gauge. And what I discovered when I did this last time was that a light drag is actually much too light. And I ended up letting my valves be way too loose. What I believe you actually want is to insert this thing in here, take your screwdriver, turn the adjuster down till you can't pull this out. See that? Turn it back just enough that you can now pull it out. Hold the adjuster where it's at when you put your wrench on it, so that way it doesn't move. Tighten the adjuster back down, put your shim back in, see what it feels like. Stiff to insert, but it goes in fine. That's where I think you want it. So, that one done. Move on to the other side. At this point, you put these caps back on and give it a test run. Remember, not too tight on these. You'll regret it. Now, don't forget these. If you don't put these back on, your bike will spray oil everywhere and you'll get mad. So now, there should be gas left in the carburetor. So you can actually start this up and you can hear what it sounds like and see how it runs. You should open your garage, but I'm not going to because I'm in here talking to myself. And I don't want the neighbors to think I'm crazy. Maybe I ran the gas out of it, I don't remember. Let's hook this back up. I think I must have, because I usually do if I'm not going to be riding for a while. Sounds a little better. That's all there is to it. If you're having idling problems, I noticed that back when I was initially having idling problems with this bike, adjusting the valves helped a lot. It should make your bike run better. And according to the manual, every 4,000 miles you should check and adjust valve clearance. That's excessive, I think. I don't think I've actually looked at this valve clearance for probably 6,000 miles, and they weren't that bad, so. Yep, do whatever you want. There's better valve adjustment videos for this bike on YouTube, but I was doing it, so here's a quick video.
They say you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. And no, I don't wanna be alone in the world out there. They say you don't